Good afternoon, I'm Ed Pozzuoli, president of Tripp Scott, and with me today is my fellow partner at Tripp Scott, Chris Smith, former state senator. And Chris, we're really going to talk a little bit about recapping the election results. And after the elongated election counting and everything else, we do now have a new governor and cabinet, and we've had some changes in the state legislature as well. So let's start with the governor's office. Ron DeSantis, three priorities: the economy, education, and the environment. Talk about what you might expect with respect to any changes in the existing policies of state government with respect to the economy.
Well, with the economy, I think small businesses will have an enormous opportunity. Not only Governor DeSantis a big proponent of small businesses, if you look at the legislature from Speaker Oliva, who's a product of a small business that grew with his family cigar business. Then you look over in the Senate, my good friend Wilton Simpson, who's going to be the next Senate president, but right now he's over the Commerce Committee, and he's an egg farmer who's dealt with regulation, dealt with taxes, and dealt with the burdens of government.
And President Galvano is also pretty business-friendly as well.
Very business-friendly, and that's why he put Wilton Simpson in charge of the Commerce. Right. I think when you add all those forces together, you're going to see a very healthy environment for businesses. And I think in my years of discussion and serving with those guys, I think you're going to see a lot of innovation to help small businesses grow in the state of Florida with the overlay of Governor DeSantis, who that was one of his party platforms. That was one of his platforms for his campaign. I think he's going to work with the legislature, and we'll see a very healthy business environment continue in Florida.
The other priority was the education. And clearly, my view of what Governor-elect DeSantis is going to do is he's going to be a friend of school choice. Our charter school friends and opportunity scholarship friends are going to benefit from, and all parents are going to benefit from being more empowered to make choices of their own. What do you think?
Well, I think, and that's when we can talk about the actual election results.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny when you saw the way some of the votes came out, and some of the votes that DeSantis got that I didn't think he was going to get.
18% of black women statewide voted for Ron DeSantis.
And the number one issue was school choice. And I think that is sending kind of ripples. I think throughout the legislature on both sides of the aisle, you've been seeing a growing momentum for school choice. And I think DeSantis pulling that much of the black vote for school choice is going to send further ripples throughout the legislature. And I think you'll see more choice-type legislation come out, and I think you'll see more support on both sides of the aisle. It won't just be a one side. It will be across. You'll get a nice cross-section of people supporting the choice.
The voters, that piece of information from the voters themselves are going to make this school choice issue far more bipartisan than it's been before.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody looks at election results.
Right.
And you look at the tea leaves. And if I was still in the legislature, I'd look at that and have to start rethinking a little bit. And I know a lot of the colleagues, I've been talking with them since the election. I was up at the swearing in, and a lot of them were talking about that wow, some of my voters are really looking at this issue. And some of their voters voted for Governor DeSantis on that issue, which was shocking.
And let's skip over to the last piece, which was the environment. Governor-elect DeSantis made it a key priority, particularly around the algae issue in the center part of the state, and it ended up affecting both coasts. Obviously, there's going to be a great commitment to clean that up.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his platform and from the debates, I mean, that was his discussion.
And the endorsements of several environmental groups. I mean, that was big
the Everglades Foundation and others. And I think to show his commitment to it, I think he comes out the box looking at the environment.
So does anything underneath in the cabinet, some of the, like Ashley Moody, I think that's also generally pro-business. What do you think?
Yeah, Ashley Moody, she and I have spoken a lot prior to her election, a little bit after the election. I think she's going to be very pro-business, and I think she's going to be looking at some businesses that are not doing the right thing in Florida. She's talked about, from her state attorney standpoint, I mean, we want all businesses to do the right thing. In some businesses, in some industries, you have to weed out some of the bad apples to make sure that those that are doing well prosper in Florida.
I mean, she's a lawyer's lawyer in a certain sense.
Tremendously. She's a lawyer's lawyer.
What about Jimmy, and let's face it, he's going to continue the policies he did, some of the focus that he had particularly on some veterans benefits and first responder benefits and some of the things that were important to him. I see that continuing, don't you?
Yeah, and his constituent services are amazing.
Right.
I mean, I served with him, and then I've had a couple of issues where I've called him over the last couple of months. I mean, very responsive, and I think he really, with his family being in the restaurant business, because he knows customer service.
No, he knows it, right?
His customer service, and I think he's going to continue that high level of customer service from that standpoint, and I think it's going to be very good.
Now, the one change, kind of sea change, was Nikki Fried pulling out a narrow victory over Matt Caldwell. How do you see that changing the Commissioner of Agriculture's office?
Well, remember, it's Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services.
Consumer Services, right.
And I think her being a lawyer, I think she'll work hard on the consumer services part, but also from the agricultural standpoint, I mean, her big thing is she's been an advocate for medical marijuana and for marijuana.
So we see some changes there, obviously.
I think you're going to see some changes. I mean, the state has been going that way.
That coupled with some recent court decisions that said the state's got to get moving on some of
Yeah, with the state going that way, and now with an advocate there, I think you're going to see some changes there. But I think she'll fit in with the rest of the cabinet, and I think it'll be a good cabinet for this state.
Do you agree with me that the state looks like it's in good hands, and that the economy looks like, at least from a state policy standpoint, the economy itself is going to be in good stead, and the policies are going to remain fairly conservative, some greater focus on the environment, clean up on some of the center part of the state algae issues, as well as the opening more and empowering parents around school choice?
Yeah, definitely. And looking at, especially for small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, I mean, looking at the people that are in charge now and their backgrounds, their total backgrounds, I mean, you're going to see a very healthy business environment in Florida over the next 4 years.
All right, well, that wraps it up, at least an initial summary of particularly the executive branch. We'll come back a little bit later as we get closer into legislative session and at least give us a little preview of what we expect from the legislative session under Representative Oliva and Senator Galvano. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.